Hello everyone, welcome to another Forces of Fantasy battle report. Today we're going to play Warhammer Fantasy 5th edition. Well, I say we, but it's going to be just me. This is going to be a solo battle report. And the two armies that I'm going to use are Bretonnia and High Elves. I'm going to pit these two against each other. I made the lists for a recent game day. Both of them fought, both of them won. The Bretonnians won versus the Lizardmen and the High Elves versus Dark Elves. I mentioned this on the Forces of Fantasy podcast. If you want to go check it out, you can click the link in the screen to go to the episode. For this game day, the rules were a little bit different. We had to select a 2000 point army, but not including any magic items. The magic items were drafted. Each side got 2 free dispel scrolls and 5 items of your choice. You just had to say beforehand which categories you wanted, and then you just drew the items. Another rule was that you could only have a maximum of 4 levels of wizard in your army, divided any way you wanted amongst characters. In order to play this battle report, I thought it would be a fun idea to create a bit of a narrative scenario. So here's what is going on. The High Elves have established an outpost on the shores of Bretonnia. However, it's been several centuries since they last heard from that outpost. The Bretonnians that live there now, they have no recollection of the elves that were there once. They just use the land for grazing and for building crops. But at some point, the High Elves decided it was time to go and take a look at the outpost and what was going on there. It's a simple outpost consisting of a watchtower overlooking a monolith. The High Elves land on the shores, and at first all goes well. They pay handsomely for food and for supplies, but at some point in the next year, when the outpost is rebuilt and when the monolith is restored, there is a plague, and this is not a plague amongst the people, but a plague amongst the crops. So one after the other, the crops fail, and this happens for 1 year, for 2 years, and then food starts to get low, supplies start to get low. The High Elves blame the Bretonnians because they think if the Bretonnians are holding back food, they can ask higher prices and extort more money of the High Elves. The Bretonnians, on the other hand, blame the High Elves because they think that since the plague came after the elves landed, it is also caused by them. They brought it from their elven lands. Tensions rise, and the High Elves at some point, the tensions reach a breaking point. The High Elves start going door to door, taking the supplies that the Bretonnians have left, the seeds that they need to plant next year. And this, of course, leaves the Bretonnians very disgruntled. They go to their liege lord, who is already a bit disappointed that they cannot provide their annual taxes in terms of grain and in terms of wool and meat and all the other things that the knights need but don't work for. So the knight of the area, he is going to inspect and he's going to see for himself that this small Bretonnian village is indeed telling the truth. This is for the Bretonnians a sign that they need to amass an army and to expel the High Elves from their land. Now, the High Elves, on the other hand, have also not been sitting on their hands. They have sent word back to Old One because they need, well, of course, more supplies, but they also see that with the tensions rising, there might be need for a show of force. Not necessarily an army to do battle, but just a little bit of intimidation. So the High Elves, they amass an army. A High Elf prince by the name of Linear, he comes back, he brings a small force with him. And the Bretonians, they also amass an army. The Baron of the region, Baron Gerard, he gathers his knights and he comes to, well, basically kick the High Elves out of their land. This is the point where we are now. The High Elves and the Bretonians are amassing against each other. And I've got the miniatures and the books on the table behind me. I'm going to set up the table now. A little bit about the table. It's a 4x3 table, which means it's a little bit smaller than what a standard Warhammer table usually is. Now, I think I can field my 2000 points armies on there. That won't be much of a problem. But what I am going to do is I'm going to play a little bit fast and loose with the deployment rules. Usually in 5th edition, you have to stay 12 inches away from each of the table edges during deployment. I'm going to shorten that distance to 6 inches. So the deployment zone is in effect going to be 12 by 24. That's going to be the deployment zone. And then the Bretonians are going on one of the two short edges and the High Elves are going on the other of the two short edges. That's just because that way I can easily reach the models and I won't have to move the camera around all the time. So it's just for my own personal convenience. This video is a shortened version where I will just tell you what happened after the end of each turn. There's also a full battle report which is available for my patrons. If you want to see the full battle report, if you want to see all the dice rolls and everything that happens during the game, you have to head over to patreon.com/forcesoffantasy. There you can join for as little as €1 or pound or dollar or whatever the local equivalency is per month. And well, that's basically it. It's Forces of Fantasy Patron is non-tiered, so there is just a small minimum amount. There's also no maximum amount you can join for as much as you like. And becoming a patron, supporting the show, will help me to put out more content like this and to also produce more episodes of the Forces of Fantasy podcast. Now let's go select a scenario, set up the table, and let's play some Warhammer. So here we have this setup. On the left side are the High Elves, on the right side the Bretonians. They deployed according to the mating engagement rules, which means that one unit deployed at each time. If you want to see how each unit deployed, I suggest you take a look at the battle report on the Patreon. Let's go through the army real quick. We're starting off with a unit of High Elf archers here. They are being led by a mage. This is Thrinovar the mage. Behind them is a unit of spearmen. There is 24 of them. Well, 24 in the unit. The unit is led by a hero. So no champion, but a hero. His name is Captain Agnarion. The unit has the Valorous standard. I forgot to say that the High Elf here has Drain Magic and Assault of Stone. He carries the Forbidden Rod and a Dispel Scroll. Then we have a Great Eagle behind them, a unit of Illyrian Reavers, a Lord on a Dragon. This is Prince Linear. The dragon is called Thunderwing. He carries the Golden Crown of Athrazar and the Star Lance. Next we have another unit of archers, again led by a mage. This is Andriel the mage. He has the Staff of Osiris and a Dispel Scroll, and he's got the spells Fiery Convocation and Apotheosis. Behind them another Great Eagle, and to top it off, two Bolt Throwers, one over there and one over there. Then on the Bretonian side there is a unit of archers. They are led by Gila Eagle Eyes. He's a champion, he doesn't have anything in the regards of magic items. Then we've got a big unit of Grill Knights, 12 Grill Knights, led by a champion. This is Sir Amorth of the Victorious Grill. There is also in the unit a battle standard bearer, which is Sir Jean d'Agravon. He's got a virtue whose name I've forgotten, but the virtue basically says that you can countercharge. So when you charge, you countercharge, and both sides count as charging. Then at the tip of the column is the general. This is Baron Gérard le Courageux. Gérard didn't have any magic items, but he does have a virtue that allows him to so that each attack that he makes counts. Let's see, what was it called again? How does it work? Each successful hit that he does allows him to make another attack. That's the one. In the unit is also a damsel, a wizard. She is a level 4 wizard with the Book of Asher, and she's also got the Sword of Defiance, giving her a +3 toughness. Now the Book of Asher allows her to not only get 1 extra wizard level, which doesn't matter because she's level 4 already, but to also select which spell lore to use. And I decided that it would be fun if she was a necromancer in disguise. She's got Wind of Death, Van Hell's Dance Macabre, Summon Skeletons, and the Gaze of Nagash. Furthermore, in the unit we have the Dread banner, so the unit causes fear, and the champion, he carries the Black Gem of Nar. Then we have a unit of mounted squires. They are led by Boris the Hunter, who isn't a champion but just a leader. He doesn't really have anything, but I found this nice leader model that I wanted to put in, so I gave him a name. And then finally we have a unit of Knights of the Realm, led by Pierre le Impétueux. So that's it for the Bretonnian side. And for the High Elf side, the Bretonnians, they pray before the battle, so the High Elves get to go first. And the High Elves, their Illyrian Reavers, they can make a march move before the game starts. That's in their rules. So I'm going to do that now. And then I'll come back to you at the end of turn 1. So here we are at the end of High Elf turn 1. The Illyrian Reavers, they moved across the water in their first move. Then they moved to here, but that was a march move, so they could not shoot. The archers moved forward a little bit, the spearmen moved forward. In hindsight, I think that might not have been such a good idea. Those archers remained stationary, the 2 eagles started flying high, and the dragon landed over there. The dragon tried to shoot his lightning at the knights, but he missed. The archers shot at the peasant bowmen, but they did not cause any wounds. The other archers shot at the mounted squires, they caused 1 wound. And both of the bolt throwers shot at the knights. That one shooting at the Knights of the Realm, causing 1 wound, and the other one shooting at the Grill Knight, causing 2 wounds. Then in the magic phase, Fiery Convocation was cast on the knights, causing another wound on them. The High Elf mage over there, who had the Staff of Osiris, tried to use it. It was out of range, and on top of that it got exhausted. And the High Elf mage over here, he used the Forbidden Rod to cast Assault of Stone. That was dispelled with a Dispel Scroll, but the mage itself did suffer a wound. Now it's on to turn 1 for the Bretonnians. Let's start with some panic tests. Alright, here we are at the end of Bretonnia turn 1. The archers had to take a panic test from the dragon, as did the mounted yeomen and the mounted squires. Neither of them failed their panic test because the general was near. The archers then shot at the dragon. They caused 3 wounds on the general. He didn't make his armor save, but he did make his ward save with the golden crown, which was subsequently destroyed because it had to save more than 3 in a single turn. The Knights of the Realm moved forward, as did the mounted squires over there. The Grill Knights declared a charge against the big block of spearmen, I foolishly thought the spearmen could hold their own, but they couldn't, so the knights just run them over without taking any casualties. Then in the magic phase I failed to dispel the fiery convocation, so that caused some more wounds on the knights. And then in the Bretonnia player tried to cast Gaze of Nagash at the bolt thrower, which was dispelled, then tried to summon some skeletons, that was also dispelled, and that was the end of the magic phase. Now it's on to High Elf turn 2. We are at the end of turn 2. The dragon and the Illyrian Reavers destroyed the unit of archers. The dragon stayed, but the Reavers pursued. Over here the eagle charged the knights, but then got shot in the back by a bolt thrower. Over there the eagle also charged the knights, but the knights easily won combat and they pursued the eagle. Yeah, that's what happened. They pursued the eagle into the archers over there. Then the fiery convocation finally got dispelled, but not after causing a lot more damage. And the mage over here, this mage, he moved that hill, causing 8 wounds on the unit of knights over there. So now it's on to Bretonnia turn 2. Here we are at the end of Bretonnia turn 2. The Grill Knight unit here, they sort of disbanded. The general went one way, the Wizard Lord went another way, and the Battle Standard Bearer took the remaining 2 knights to try to harass some archers. The Wizard Lord subsequently cast a spell, the Gaze of Nagash, on the wizard that was standing over here. The wizard failed his dispel and then got killed. He sustained 4 wounds, which is more than enough to kill a level 2 wizard. Over there you see the unit of archers is gone. They were run over by the knights. They fled. Knights caused 2 wounds. The archers fled, and then the knights pursued into the swamp. So they are now bogged down over there, if you'll pardon the pun. And yeah, that's what happened in Bretonnia turn 2. So now let's go to High Elf turn 3. High Elves, end of turn 3. The Illyrian Reavers moved back towards that side. The dragon flew over here, tried to shoot his lightning at the knights, but he missed. Over there we have a bolt thrower that shot at the knights that were in the swamp. The knights then fled, which well, they took 2 damage, and so they had 2 wounds. They fled. The other bolt thrower shot at the general, but he missed. The archers over here, they got out of the charge arc of the knight unit with the Battle Standard Bearer, the Grail Knights. The wizard here, he first cast the Assault of Stone, meaning that the hill over there was going towards the knights, but only 1 inch, so he didn't reach them. And then he cast Drain Magic with his Forbidden Rod, took his 2nd wound and blew himself up, but Drain Magic did cause the Bretonnia Wizard Lord to lose the Gaze of Nagash. The Knights of the Realm, they fled, they had to keep fleeing. The wizard was lucky enough to cast a Summon Skeletons, get it off with a 6. It was very lucky because she only got 1 card. I rolled a 2 for the Winds of Magic. Then the Grail Knights over there, they turned a little bit towards the dragon, and the general who was over there, he defeated the bolt thrower crew. Okay, we got a little bit less units on the table, so we can move a little bit faster now. The Illyrian Reavers, they moved forward and they shot at the skeletons, but they didn't cause any wounds. The next turn, the skeletons charged the dragon and were subsequently defeated. The Wizard Lord tried to cast the Wind of Death, making it trying to get a straight path over here, but it failed to go off. It was dispelled. The general, Bretonnian general, moved a little bit to get to the archers. The archers shot at the Wizard Lord, but forgot about the sword that gave her +3 toughness, so that didn't really do anything. And the High Elf bolt thrower in the back there, it shot at the tried to shoot at the general, but the Lady of the Lake prevented that. So now we can just take the last few turns. The Bretonian general who was over here charged at the archers on the bridge. The archers fled, but didn't flee far enough, so the Bretonian general caught up with them. He ended up over here in front of the dragon. The dragon attacked him. He survived for one round of combat, but then in the second round of combat he eventually got taken out. So that is a victory for the High Elves, though it's not much of a victory because they have lost a lot of things on their side as well. So I think if you go by the points values, it's going to be a minor victory for the High Elves, but yeah, a victory nonetheless. That is going to be it for this battle report. I hope you liked watching it. I certainly enjoyed playing this game. In hindsight, I probably, if I were to play this again, I would do something a little bit different. I might see if I could not get a magic weapon or something like that on my Bretonian general, just in case he came up against a dragon, because in the end he was basically just slaughtered. For the High Elf side, I would probably next time deploy them a little bit further back, give the Bretonians a few more turns to come, try to wither them down a bit with bolt throwers and with magic, and maybe also use the archers, without the mages of course, as some screening or redirector units, and then use the Illyrium Reavers to go after maybe the mounted squires, the mounted yeomen, or possibly even the archers. I think also for the High Elves next time, if I were to do something like this, I'd have the dragon fly high and then land behind enemy lines so that he could not get shot at or charged in the first turn. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this battle report. Let me know if you want more content like this. If you have any feedback, please just send me an email at forcesoffantasy@gmail.com or leave a comment here on YouTube. I also would like to thank all our patrons. The Patreon will help keep the lights on here and will help me make better videos, get better equipment. One of the things I'd like to invest in is a lapel mic so that I can have consistent audio quality when filming these videos. Thank you very much for watching. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel, it will really help me out. And of course, if you like the video, get the word out there, notify your friends. And if you have any suggestions on battles you would like to see played, please also let me know in the comments down below. Thank you very much and see you next time.